We have just completed the analysis of Act 3, Scene 3 and the two soliloquies uttered by King Claudius and Prince Hamlet. At this juncture, it will be good if we could delve more into the characters of these two men to know further about the circumstances and the state of mind that made them utter these soliloquies. As we know, the two characters, they are kinsmen and they are highly conscientious and concerned about the moral and the ethical uprightness of their actions. And being tragic heroes, they are people who have tragic flaws too. So it is good if we could analyze the tragic flaws of the two characters. And as we read the soliloquy uttered by Claudius, we get to know that he is driven by three important driving forces, and they are his ambition, his greed to attain the wife of his brother, and thirdly, his sense of hopelessness. And King Claudius is unable to resist these three driving forces, and they are his weaknesses, and he desires those weaknesses to such a great extent that he is ready to salvage his life and salvation in order to sustain them. And as we read the soliloquy, we get a clear understanding of how his mind is literally oscillating from a state of damnation to salvation. And he is weighing and considering how he should progress in his action. But he is unable to withstand and resist the pressure and the pull of the carnal and the material desire in him, which leads to his ultimate damnation. And as you read the story, the lines uttered by King Claudius, we understand how much he yearns for salvation. He realizes about his own unworthiness and his own tainted soul as the murderer of his own brother, but he does not believe in God's benevolence, and he is actually mistrusting God's benevolence, and he is staying in a state of hopelessness, which is actually the sin committed by Claudius. As the lines go, O wretched state, O bosom black as death, O lime soul that's struggling to be free, art more engaged, help angels, make essay, bow stubborn knees, and heart with strings of steel, be soft as sinews of the newborn babe, all may be well. So he is struggling deep inside his mind, and he yearns for salvation. He yearns to seek forgiveness from God for the sin he has committed, and he has a clear understanding that might be forgiven provided he seek forgiveness, as seen by the lines. Is there not rain enough in the sweet heavens to wash it white as snow? The lines are reminiscent of the lines uttered by Lady Macbeth, and also the state of mind of Macbeth, who is struggling because of his vaulting ambition. And in these lines we find King Claudius is struggling in his mind, and he is unable to withstand the pressure of the worldly and the carnal desires that are weighing him down. And exactly at that time we find Prince Hamlet coming there, and as he sees King Claudius on his knees in a state of solemn prayer, he is resisting his desire of his heart to stab him from behind. Even though the moment was most appropriate for him to commit the act of crime, he is resisting that temptation because he has an ulterior motive. The ulterior motive is to win for him eternal damnation and never to be blessed with salvation. And Hamlet is triggered to think in this way because of his intense attachment towards his father and because of his inability to do the act of vengeance with a perfect state of detachment. So he is not able to do his crime with a mind of perfect detachment. So he cannot retain his equanimity and to do the crime as a son in order to fulfill his duty as a duty bound son, to do the act of vengeance to fulfill his duty. So therefore the lines uttered by Prince Hamlet is reflecting his state of mind as he says, "A villain kills my father, and for that I, his sole son, do the same villain sent to heaven." So he does not want at any cost the man who has killed his father to be blessed with eternal salvation. And the thought springs from his sense of anger and resentment and deep sense of hatred for his uncle. "Why, this is hire and salary, not revenge. I took my father grossly full of bread, with all his crimes brought blown as flush as May, and how his audit stands, who knows save heaven." So these lines speak about Hamlet's doubt regarding whether his father is blessed with salvation or if he is a damned soul. Therefore, Hamlet is very keen to make sure that his uncle will never enjoy the blessings of salvation which his father was not blessed with. Therefore, Hamlet willingly delays his act of vengeance because more than the fulfillment of the act of murder, he is more bothered about ensuring eternal damnation for his uncle Claudius. And the desire is intensely vicious and it springs from his seething anger and resentment for his uncle Claudius. As Prince Hamlet leaves to meet Queen Gertrude in her bedchamber, we find King Claudius concluding his soliloquy. And the soliloquy is a clear indication of his decision to continue his life of sinfulness. He states very clearly that even during the prayer time, his mind was more focused on plotting against Prince Hamlet. And he realizes that it is impossible for him to lead a life of grace and righteousness.